Good afternoon, everybody, for this next episode. This is episode number 12, if you can believe it, of Let's Clarify. I am one of the co-hosts, Mellissa Thomas, and of course, I'm joined by Angel Perry, who is the Executive Vice President of the Communications Workers of America, Local 3108. How's it going, Angel? How you doing?
It is going good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Always a pleasure to join you. So, guys, on this episode, we are basically talking about the recent rash of arrests that have been happening across the country. As you see Angel coming up her face, if you are someone who feels strongly about wearing a mask or not wearing one specifically, there might be some legal ramifications. So we're here to talk about it today. Angel, go ahead, kick it off. We have several examples of folks getting the cuffs on them for not wearing them.
So, as of late, there's been a huge uptick of arrests of people being trespassed at locations and banks and Disney. And so I wanted to go over just a few samples of the last week or so. So we have Kelly McKinn, 51, out of North Palm Beach, who went to visit Disney World, Walt Disney World here in Florida. He was asked to wear a mask, and he decided to spit on the officer.
She said, "What?"
Okay, moving on. We had David Silverstein, 47, out of the town of Wayne in New Jersey. He was at Burger King and was asked to put on a mask, and he's like, "No, I won't wear a mask," but he went a step further and just decided to choke out the cashier on the floor, 2 hands, choking. Okay, all right. And then we got Cindy Falco Diacorado, 61. This is out of West Boca Palm County. She decided that she was going to go get some bagels at Einstein Bagel. Fine, okay. They say, wear a mask if you're not eating or drinking anything. And she's like, no, I'm not wearing a mask. Yeah, she got hauled off to jail.
Precisely.
And then Terry Wright, 65. She's the one that went viral. She was at a bank.
Let's go outside.
Want to wear a mask. And she was actually asked to leave several times.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I have my money here. I need to do business here. So no, I'm going to stand in line and I'm going to scream and spit on people while I'm talking, because she was talking loud. She wasn't calm. She was pretty unruly. And the first time she got arrested, the poor officer, had to put her on the floor. I mean,
yes,
ever so gently though, but
he was careful.
Yeah, but she literally was shoving him. She was very disrespectful. Like, okay, once the bank manager tells you to leave a bank, it's a bank. Where do you think you're owed to stay in an establishment?
Exactly.
So this is where we're getting these brushes with the law. Now, if you don't believe in the mask, fine. So be it. You can be in your own car, in your own home, on your own property. You can even be on public property, outside.
Right.
The minute that you have to engage with other people, your rights do not trump theirs. That's what people are completely missing in these scenarios, that they feel their personal rights somehow trumps somebody else's. So let's just narrow it down to each establishment. So we have Walt Disney. Now, in order to get to Walt Disney, you have to do an appointment. There's no open gates anymore. So you have this whole COVID disclaimer. You will wear a mask. You will have your temperature checked. And if they suspect anything, blah, 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 all these disclaimers. You have to agree to all of those things before they approve your appointment. And then they proceed to tell you with all the signs, this is the way to get in and this is how you have to act and behave, yada, yada, yada. And then you have the same thing with Burger King, the same thing with Einstein's Bagel, the same with Bank of America. These are all private establishments. You did not own these places. So it's like no different than going to somebody's house and they prefer you take your shoes off because that's just the way they live. You can't tell them, no, I'm going to keep my shoes on. No, you can just not visit.
Right.
That's your choice. Freedom too. Freedom not to go. You have the freedom not to go or be there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then as a bonus one, there was also the recent case in Ohio. And this one, in my opinion, had to be kind of mortifying. This was a middle school, I want to say middle school football game. And this lady here was arrested for not wearing a mask as well. And she had to get hauled off from that game. So you're talking, family environment, parents, kids having to see that sort of thing. And I thought that was so interesting. But to your point, while there is no national mandate that's uniform across the board saying to mask or not to mask, sure, there are states that are lowering their mask mandates as well. You still have to be mindful of where you're at. If you're on school grounds, if you're at a public establishment, a library, at a park, someplace that's, public. But if you're at a business, Bank of America is a business. Einstein Bagels is a business.
Protesting inside the bank, you're going to jail. I'm sorry.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to get your grub, just cover your face to get your grub. Like, it shouldn't be that complicated. You know what I mean? Get your grub, get on out of there.
Delivered. I mean, there's like all these apps now where you can get whatever from anywhere and have it delivered. Most places now even have curbside.
Right.
So for you to consciously walk into a place and know that personally you're against the mask, which nobody's faulting that. That's your personal preference.
Right.
Once you are in somebody else's space and you have to interact with other people, you have rules of engagement of how to behave because it's their space, not yours.
Right.
Nobody's getting arrested at home on their couch because they don't have a mask on. I mean,
exactly.
I'm in my office with no mask on. Nobody's storming up the stairs to arrest me because I don't have a mask on in my office.
Right.
So, but the minute I'm at Disney or Einstein's Bagel or Burger King, which I would not ever sit up there and try to choke somebody out
over a mask or over being told to wear one.
Or go to the bank, which I'm at a bank often, I have a mask. Like, see?
Representing. Represent.
I mean, it's their space. They own the space. They make the rules. No, there's no law, federal mandate that you have to wear a mask, but trespassing guidelines are if you're asked to leave, like Miss Terry Wright there, 65, at the bank, was told on numerous occasions to leave. At that point, the police were called and she was hauled off.
Exactly.
Rightfully so.
Exactly. And we're going to run that clip right before this commercial break. We're going to run that clip because that was interesting. For lack of a better word, an interesting encounter. This is a brief clip of it, guys.
Let's go outside. Shoot me, people? You're going to shoot me for trying not to breathe?
Cool.
Come on, dude.
Don't do that. Oh, no.
Do not touch me. Who do you think you are?
2010. One resisting.
Back up. Some old lady is getting handcuffed here. Here, people. Ow.
Ma'am, put your hands behind your back. Say, you don't stop resisting. Stop.
Is anybody gonna like get real here? Really?
Relax.
No one's gonna get real? Wow.
Come on.
Oh, you're gonna smash my head to the ground now? Now you're smashing my arm into my private area?
Your private area?
Yeah.
Put your hands behind your back.
My hand is behind my back, sir.
This one. Turn over on your stomach. Put your hand behind your back. Relax.
I'm totally relaxed. You're the one.
No, you are not relaxed.
There you go, guys.
She was even asked to leave by the police officer and refused to, and then shoved him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so we shoving police officers now over wearing a mask?
Yeah. And that's why he warned her. He was like, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. So we're supposed to respect the law. She was asked to leave by the management. She was asked to leave by the law enforcement officer. So that whole little, oh, I just need to breathe. Then go outside. There's plenty of air outside. Why are you not outside? You didn't want to breathe that much. Now you breathe in the back of the police car in the paddy wagon. Bye.
Yeah, and I mean, the other alternative, I don't know what kind of branch that was. If it didn't have a drive-through option, some of them don't. They might be storefront or whatever. But 9 times out of 10, people these days are choosing to simply drive through. Like if it's a situation where you have to take care of that transaction, it was something she absolutely had to do, stay in the car. Because in your car, you don't have to wear your mask in your car either.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So there are ways around it, but we're going to keep the conversation going, guys. We're going to take a quick commercial break and be right back and kind of get a little deeper into some of these consequences of COVID-19 fatigue in general. All right. So stay tuned. We will be right back.
Mercury agents everywhere are saving people hundreds and are also there to help save the day.
That was fast. You covered.
Thanks, agents.
Watch out!
That's my car!
Don't worry. We're here to help.
For savings and service above the rest, you can count on Mercury. We're on a mission to save you money.
Mercury.
And we are back. So let's clarify. So Angel, kind of talk a little bit about like what is some of the underlying consequences going on here in terms of COVID-19 fatigue. People want to get out. People are tired of the masks because they're uncomfortable. But kind of talk about why we see folks kind of lashing out a little bit more than normal.
So when this all started a year ago and a couple of weeks now, there was all this red alert, being next to people, hugging people, touching things behind people. You got to have, hand sanitizer, 6 feet distance, don't go over grandma's house, protect everyone. That automatically puts all of us, or most of us, in a heightened sense of survival mode, which has its own chemical hormones, own intensities, and everybody has their own level variations. Now, survival mode for people in general is only meant for a short amount of time, a short distance, like say, you fell down the stairs and, you have that adrenaline rush, or you see, someone fighting, it's a physical fight, you have an adrenaline rush. Well, what's happened, a year and some change later, you get fatigue from being in that survival stance all the time. It's fight or flight. But with COVID, it's a daily decision making. Oh, if I go to the store, will I get COVID? If I don't be careful, will I get COVID? Could me hugging my mom, kill her? There's this constant being on alert 100% of the time, and eventually you get so fatigued, and then you got to compound all of that with your day in and day out, and things happen. People lose their jobs, or you don't have enough to eat, or with the shutdown, You have all these stresses on top of stresses. So what happens of being in that heightened sense of survival mode, your cognitive skills diminish, your reasoning skills diminish because you're never at rest, technically. So what we're finding is just in the general populace, your reasoning skills, a person's reasoning skills, like with the lady at the bank, honestly, if somebody asks you to leave, you're like, you know what? I'll go to another branch. I'll take care of this another day. It wouldn't even been anything to take so personal that you feel like you have to fight over. Or
Exactly.
like the poor gentleman at Burger King who was just so stressed out that he's choking out a cashier. Like, you're at Burger King, bro. Just order it. Just order it and have it delivered curbside. Like, what? Or
DoorDash.
DoorDash, Uber Eats. I mean, there's so many delivery stuff. And the poor lady, Cindy Falco D. Corrado at Einstein Bagel. It's a bagel. Like, but that's the thing, that fight or flight. So fight mode kicks in at the most non-essential times. Like, there's no survival mode for that. It's a mask. Like, the mask isn't hurting you. Now, granted, there are some people with respiratory issues that a mask can harm them, but those people are taking into account, I don't really need to sit at Einstein Bagel to eat my bagel.
Exactly.
I don't really need to go into Burger King to get whatever, you know, or I really can skip the trip to Disney that's going to cost me a few grand anyway. If I'm not, you know, there's people are taking things into account, but this fight or flight mode that a lot of people are in are causing their reasoning skills to really just go out the window at just non-survival situations. And you do not have a right to make the rules up for a business establishment. It's not your business. When you own it and you're going to say no mask, that's because you own it. That's on you. But you can't then impose what you want on where you're shopping. Just don't shop there. That's freedom too. Options. That's freedom too. Exercise your freedom not to go somewhere.
You have options. Yeah. And the other thing for folks to consider is that while, like, at a state level, we can definitely speak for the state of Florida. While at a state level, there may be no mask mandates, municipalities might still have them enforced on businesses, and the businesses have to keep their mandates in place, even with the vaccines and everything like that. So you as a consumer, it's your responsibility to know where you're going, like know what you're stepping into, understand what's going on in your particular city or county, like whatever the situation may be. And as much as is within your control, because obviously there's certain things that are not in your control, like the length of a line, but as much as it is within your control, make sure that trip is brief. Like, if you know wearing a mask is utterly uncomfortable for you, make sure whatever building you're walking into where you have to put it on, just make sure that run is brief. Because, hey, I'm somebody that has asthma. I know how uncomfortable wearing a mask is. I make sure my trips are brief. If it's someplace where I absolutely have to be and I have to wait it out, I have to wait it out. Like, it doesn't make sense to try to resist, if you will. Because a lot of that is that too. You know what I mean? Like, there was a big push for that. There's that sort of narrative where it's more of a government conspiracy to control you and this, that, and the other. And while I understand that particular concept, because I'll be honest with y'all, like, I have my little conspiracy theories too, but I'm also rational enough to know, like, if this is a disease that is airborne or spreads through droplets, and a mask is the way to block that, just rationally speaking, I'm going to put up the blockade and just wear the thing. It's not an issue of control, because if it really was a major issue of control, it would have been federal. Like, it would have been all the way across the board.
Right.
It's not.
Well, not only that, it would be not it'll be federal, but then at your will at home would also be affected. So that's the thing that people are missing. When it's a blanket government, you have to. There's no, oh, well, you're at the store, you're at the park. It's no matter what you're doing, this is what you have to do, whether you're home or not. And that never came across anyone's desk. So you're choosing to go to these places that you don't have to go because you know this is what the rules are now until, you know, what is it, 60% of the population is inoculated, then, you know, the numbers drop and so on and so forth. They keep saying.
Right.
Till then, you know, you have to just do what the places that you're visiting is requiring. Those are requirements, like no shirt, no shoes. That's been around for, I don't know, forever. And nobody's protesting about no shirt, no shoes when you go to a restaurant or go to the mall. I mean, it's all tiresome, and we're all sick of COVID, this, COVID, that. We are all sick of it. But at the same time, these are the things that are in place to, you know, keep the infection numbers down until, you know, enough people are inoculated that, you know, we don't have to worry about this COVID thing anymore. COVID-19, coronavirus.
And here's my thing, like, you know, we have folks that are protesting the mask, they're protesting the vaccine, and I get that. You know what I mean? That's your First Amendment right to peacefully assemble. But to your point about folks, like about all of us being tired of dealing with COVID, be honest with you, this could have probably been over less than a year ago, if not for folks choosing not to wear a mask and like being out in crowds when their states or cities are telling them not to gather in large crowds.
Right.
I mean, we're now seeing that ripple effect with the increase in cases from spring break, because everybody was like, oh yeah, I got my vaccine, I'm good. Actually, there's a whole shirt out right now if you look on social media that says vaxxed and waxed. Like, yes, yes.
Now that's funny.
That is a whole
That's
spring
funny.
break mood right now. Like vaxxed and waxed, like I'm not wearing a mask, I'm ready to party, I'm vaccinated. And
That's
there's
the whole problem is vaccinated people can still be carriers.
right. Folks are not accounting
So
for
you're
that.
safe. Nobody else is if they're not already vaccinated. Well, thanks.
Exactly.
Thanks for
Exactly.
thinking of yourself.
Precisely. And that is actually the note we're going to end on the other side of this break, guys. We're going to wrap up after this quick break. So stay tuned, and hey, leave your comments below what your thoughts are on it. Are you pro-mask? Are you anti-mask? Are you, do you subscribe to that conspiracy theory that the government is trying to control us and all of that with the masks and the vaccines? Let us know below. Either way, we'd love to have that conversation with you. But we'll be right back to wrap up. Stay tuned.
At Duke Energy, we deliver electricity and so much more, like free home energy assessments, rebates for energy-saving improvements, payment options to help you better manage your budget, and even bill credits for helping the community use less energy. So no matter what you're doing, we can help you make better energy choices every day. It's just another way we bring power to your life. How much can you save?
And as we wrap up with Let's Clarify, wanted to go back to the point you were making on the previous side of the break. We were saying, thank you for thinking about yourself. You know what I mean? One of the points that Angel has reiterated over the last several episodes is it is our responsibility, whether you agree or not, like it is our responsibility to consider other people. Like everything, all actions have consequences. And it's important to consider those consequences. Like those folks putting up, being civil disobedience, basically. You know what I mean? They go, they don't want to wear their mask. They're like, all right, well, if you're not going to wear your mask, then we gotta ask you to leave. You're not going to leave, then law enforcement we gotta call law enforcement on you. Civil disobedience. but just understanding that actions have consequences, and we have to be aware of our fellow citizens, like the people around us, like the lady in Ohio who got hauled off in the middle of a middle school sporting event. You have to consider, like, yes, it's, statistically shown that COVID-19 is not as strong in children because their immune systems are more resilient. But still, there are children out there who have, who are immunocompromised.
Yeah.
They might have pre-existing conditions as well. And as we've seen, when children get it, there's also another inflammatory disease that could arise as a result of getting COVID-19 as well. So there's even that ripple effect. You know what I mean? The key is to be mindful of what you're doing and be mindful of where you are. If you don't want to wear the mask, don't go where it's required.
Pretty simple.
You know what I mean, guys? Like, don't complicate it. Don't complicate it. And hey, wait it out, do your part. Because as we can see, the folks that have been civilly disobedient, as I mentioned on the other side of the break, they're stretching this out longer than it needs to be. You know what I mean? Like, we're still having a whole lot of cases. So
Yeah.
everybody be careful.
Pretty
And
simple. We just got to look out for each other, and that's the bottom line, And just as a reminder, your freedoms does not, infringe on others. It's a cooperative, symbiotic relationship between you and society. While you're at home, do whatever you want, as long as it's not harmful to the next person. But once you're outside and about, and you're going into private property and businesses, you need to respect the spaces that you're in if they don't belong to you.
Perfect. Very well said. And on that note, guys, again, be sure to leave your comments, questions, concerns, all of that on this topic. We'd love to hear what you guys think. If you haven't yet, be sure to like, share, subscribe, follow, all that fun stuff. You'll find this show on @FNN News TV on Facebook. You can also be sure to like our main page, Florida National News on Facebook. And you'll find us on YouTube and Instagram @Florida National News as well. So like, share, subscribe, all of that fun jazz. And if you're on IG and you want to contact Angel directly, be sure to reach her at A4Amazing. She'll be happy to answer your questions and all of that fun jazz. In the meantime, though, guys, do please mask up. It is not worth getting arrested just because you don't want to wear the thing. Like, just wear the thing for as long as you need to in that establishment. You know what I mean? Stay safe out there. In the meantime, take care.